We're shaking. It's your boy International fucking special. Shout out to my guy DJ Shuttle and my guy DC from Central Station. Damn, I ain't know that fucking Rolls Royce was so big back there. You heard what I'm saying, nigga? Excuse me, nigga. And shout out to Direct Deposit. Listen, niggas don't get too many interviews like this from me. Only reason why I'm giving it to these niggas is because at the same time, these niggas was around when I was grinding, nigga. You gotta grind and shine, nigga.
Hey man, you know what's going on? DJ Shuttle, Direct Deposit. We back live, episode 12, the final episode of season 1. Gotta salute the executive producer of the show, DC Central Station. You know what I mean? Big shout, Urban Life on the films today, holding us down. Of course, our editors, the one and only Interlude Films, and my guy Craig Herron. Rest in peace, inspiration for the show. Today we got a special guest. A special guest. It's International Shuttle. An international special. We heard. That's what we're doing.
We're shaking.
Yo, man, no, it's definitely a pleasure to have you, on the show, as we bring season 1 to a close. So we want to do it kind of big and kind of special. You feel me? Thanks for coming out, man. We've been putting the promo out, letting people know you coming to the show, and everybody's been asking me what the fuck is Special doing. That's what everybody wants to know.
Grinding.
You
That's
heard?
what I'm doing. Grinding.
So, I mean, I know you've been doing a lot. You've been having, a long, consistent career, but it seems like now, like you got a lot of different things going that maybe people didn't know you were doing before, business-wise. So, let's find out a little bit what you got popping in the game right now that you can share with us.
I mean, right now I'm still doing the same thing, finding talent, breaking it, bringing it to the table. You know what I'm saying? And just showing the people, what I see. Giving other people the opportunity that I didn't have. So I'm trying to be that connector, that plug, that's missing from the game right now. Like, when I was coming up, you had artist development in the labels. You don't have that no more.
True.
People are chasing numbers now instead of chasing the talent, which I don't really agree with because, the numbers could be falsified. And at the same time, those numbers don't tell me if a person is hot or not. It just tells me that this person has a fan base.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So, I'm still from the old school.
So these days the numbers could actually lie. Before numbers didn't lie, but now they can.
Yeah, it's like anything man-made that people feel is locked can be unlockable because they made it.
True indeed.
Nobody's gonna make a lock that they can't open.
True indeed.
You get what I'm saying? So at the same time, it's like anything else, dog. Like nowadays, niggas is rocking this Givenchy and, and Balenciaga and China sending that shit out. You know what I'm saying? By the boatloads.
And it's costing them like $20 to make it.
Exactly. So, at the same time, dog, I'm just doing what I do best. I just go out and I look for the shit myself.
So who's some of the artists you're working with right now?
I mean, right now I just found an artist called Callie Cass. So she's straight out of Atlanta, and that's my new project right now, So I teamed up with a few guys. I teamed up with like Whack 100, P from Quality Control, Coach K, and we just trying to make a few things happen.
Got you. So when did you actually start working behind the scenes in the game?
I mean, I've been behind the scenes. I've been running around with a lot of people, bro, and I don't really mean the name call because I don't want. One thing I hate is somebody to identify me with somebody else.
True indeed.
So I don't really like the name calling because it doesn't brand me, it brands them. And right now I'm finally getting my light. So I'm here to brand me right now, but I'm behind a lot of artists that's really shaking right now. You know what I'm saying? So, but the girl Callie Cass is really like my artist.
Got you.
So
what should we expect and how soon should we expect?
I mean, right now we're supposed to be dropping probably by the first, of the year, top of the year, January, and you gotta grind and shine. So right now I'm just putting that work in. You know what I'm saying? So You know, people, they see me out here in the Lamborghinis, they see me out here in the Rolls Royces, and they thinking like that shit came today. Nah, this shit been a grind since I jumped in this shit. Like, not telling my age, but you know, I'm 30 years in.
Right.
Funny thing is, the labels are giving the new artists 3 years longevity. I've been doing this shit for 3 decades.
Now, I know as far as the car game, guys will come in from out of town and want to get loopy with you to make sure they was riding around in style and all kind of shit like that.
Yeah, not
too.
only that too, you know, because I also had the streets too. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? I put my work in, you know, and at the end of the day, I'm well respected. And, you know, sometimes people, they think that that's what it is to make it to the top. But it's a lot more than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, a nigga done been hit 9 times. Nigga done did some jail time. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of shit that came in with me being who I am. You know, so when people look at you, they envy you for the good shit.
Right.
But you also got to know from where this good shit came from, it was some bad shit. And I made a lot of mistakes, and I was able to learn from them and, you know, straighten shit out.
One thing I gotta say, just for me, you know, one thing I love to see in my brothers is like the evolution that you're just talking about. You know, how you started here, but now you're here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like you mentioned, like it's a journey. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we're not. If you're the same person you was 10 years ago, something's really wrong with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You should definitely be better and have a better understanding of life. And like, you know, knowing you how I know you,
Yeah.
you know, like to see the wild guy I knew
Yeah.
that was young, you know,
Yeah.
to see now, you know, your growth, even for me, just man to man, like I respect it tremendously. You know what I'm saying? Because
But you know what it is?
You was a
It's-
wild dude.
Yeah.
You was a wild dude.
You know what it is I'm still there, but then again I'm not as well, because being wild don't get you the bread. Being wild separates you from the bread, because if people feel nervous of you or feel like they can't fuck with you, then they don't. Yeah, then they don't want to fuck with you. And the difference is with me is, you know, I don't judge people. So if I fuck with you, I'm stuck with you. That's just my motto. But, you know, getting older and more mature, you kind of push it to the side, because we living in a different world or a different time now.
We definitely dealing with a different time right now, and
Yeah.
you know, and we got to be able to maneuver.
Yeah, we dealing with a different time. Like when I was coming up, if you had a problem on the street, you dealt with it on the street. This is what made us who we are. You understand what I'm saying? Now, shit is different. You got niggas they running to the police with the shit, and lawyers is expensive.
Shit
You know,
crazy.
yeah, for what I'ma do, my lawyer go cost me about 100. So is it really worth losing everything you got over some shit that's unnecessary? And then again too, when you got kids growing up, you got to show them a different way. Certain times you got to be the mature one to walk away from shit. Not because you pussy, but because realistically, you could fuck up your whole financial situation by proving that point.
You got shit to lose.
Yeah, and why do that? You know, sometimes these people ain't got shit to lose. So what I try to do is I just try to stay out the way. Like if I know I'm gonna be somewhere where I know potentially I might have to prove myself, which everybody know I'm good at doing that, then I kinda avoid going down those streets.
Leave a little early.
Yeah, you know, and you know, it's funny because niggas tell me like, yo, Special, you don't even come back to the hood. And the funny thing is, I do. I just don't chill in it as much as I used to. For one is I got a lot going on. For two is you work so hard to get about this shit. So if I do come through, is to give inspiration to those that's still stuck there. You know, just let niggas know, like, my nigga, like, you looking at me because I made it, and I'm coming back to show you if I did make it, you can make it too.
That, as it should be.
You know,
That's one of the things that I enjoy, like, about your wave right now, is that, you know, whatever you're doing on the business side and all that other shit, I feel like the energy that you put into the universe, if people are really listening and being in tune, they should be inspired.
Yeah.
Because when I'm watching it, that's what the fuck I'm taking from it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hoping, you know, other people take. I ain't gonna hold you, man. Like, part of this shit, when I see you, I hope you cool with fam. Gilly the Kid. I kind of like.
Yeah, I fuck with Gilly.
I kind of see, when I see him, I see you, I'm like, yo, this is what the fuck we need. Niggas that's from the street, that's thorough, that's telling guys what it really is, and they should hopefully be inspired by it.
Yeah.
You mentioned the family, man. Like, that's something that, like, I don't know, you know, if people really do the knowledge to it, but, you know, like, for years you've been the type of man that, like, keep the kids and the family around as you've been traveling through the journey of the game. Talk about the importance of that and why
see, certain people, when they see me and they don't know me, they might figure like I'm bragging about the lifestyle. Me, I'm different. I brag about my kids. My daughter, she's a registered nurse, and she's still in school. She's about to be an anesthesiologist. My son just passed the Suffolk police test. You know, plus what I taught my son, I was hard on him than my daughter, because I had to instill and put in his head that a black man with trades is never without a job.
True indeed.
So he's learned how to build houses, real estate, all of that stuff like that. So I'm just happy they didn't have to go through what I went through. My first time getting shot was at 14 years old. My kids right now is 23 and 20 years old. They never even been in a fight. They don't drink, they don't smoke, you know, and that's the kind of shit.
Yourself.
Yeah, I don't drink, I don't smoke. And I used to keep them around because I know kids follow trends, and that at the same time they'll look at the artist, and whatever they see the artist doing, they want to mimic. So I kept my kids around the artists to show them how these artists look up to me. And you don't have to do none of that shit that they do. And they still look up to you like y'all look up to them. So what you thinking is not cool is really cool. You just gotta be a leader and not a follower. You know what I mean? So
got regimens, shit like that, or you just staying healthy with the diet and all that?
yeah, nah, you know what it is. I just watch what I eat, and you know, I just watch the times that I eat. Like, I'm most active in the morning and the afternoon, so I'll eat heavy in the morning so I can burn it off. And then I just don't eat after like 7 o'clock, because that's when I'm slowing down my day. And I don't want it to just be sitting on me, you know what I mean?
Heard you. So let's get back to the music a little bit. So for me, out of nowhere, I get this record, I hear this record on the radio, and it's like, yo, you heard Special new record. I'm like, what? And I heard the record, but I ain't know who it was.
Yeah.
Everything foreign, ringing the fuck off. You know, we set up the call with the Fleet DJs, we got that whole shit moving. But I want to know, like, and the people hopefully can enjoy the story too, what is it that made you decide, you know what, I'm going to put this record out?
I put it out because people was telling me that I couldn't do it. So, again, proving myself, you know, and letting the people know, like, at the same time, dog, you could do whatever you put your mind to. It's called grinding. You know what I'm saying? And get one thing clear about me. I don't believe in luck. I believe in God. There's a difference. You know, and my whole thing is I've been dealing with the music so long that I just gave it a shot, and what everybody thought wouldn't happen happened, and I wound up getting a deal off of that.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Everything
So,
foreign.
Yeah, exactly.
Talking about the lifestyle we really living.
Yeah, and there's no fronting with me. Everything is real. What you see with me is when I am.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have to go rent a car, or I didn't have to go borrow jewelry, or do shit for people to like. It's just what I had. But like I said too, is I grinded for this shit too. It's not like I just stepped up. I jumped in the music business. You know what I mean? I was doing a lot of shit on the street. I made a few mistakes. That I learned from. I came home. I got it together. I was working. Funny thing is, I used to work at Roy Rogers. Niggas be looking at me like I ain't never had a job before. You know what I'm saying?
Shit.
Like, and then from there, I came home and I got my CDL. I learned how to drive like tractor trailers,
big rigs
buses,
and all that.
Yeah, cranes and bulldozers, and I started doing that. And at the end of the day, it just led me into something that I really wanted to do, was the music shit.
So what was it with the music that was like your greatest draw, or the shit that you felt like was what you wanted to do? Because obviously it wasn't being a rapper.
Yeah.
So what was it about the game that kind of drew you in?
I always wanted to be on the executive side of it, because one thing about artists is that the artists don't get the bag. The artist is like a key of coke.
Right.
You gotta bust it down, you gotta move it. You understand what I'm saying? So the person that's moving that work is the executive. He's the one that's pressing the button, making the calls, making the connections. So I knew doing that, I could be where I wanted to be and also be my own boss.
Right.
Because even though these niggas is rapping, they're still not their own boss.
Sure indeed.
They still working for somebody. So then that's when I started getting enough of my bread, and I just started doing me. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I made a lot of mistakes in that too, Like at the end of the day too, it's like I signed a few artists that didn't work, but I signed a few that did. And then I was able to learn it more because of all the money that I lost. So now with me falling back and then re-going over everything that I've done, now I was able to become my own exec and make my own moves. And then putting all of the connects that I had together to make me into who I am now.
I always ask, I like to ask this question, and I reflect on my experiences, try to do the same. What in that trial and error process, as you going through the journey on the business side of the game, what would you say would be maybe the biggest mistake or the biggest experience you learned from that you say, I'm not gonna do that shit again?
Thinking that these niggas love you, bro. That was my biggest thing, because the funny thing is especially when people ain't used to shit, numbers could get them to go into a whole different direction. So they could be with you now, and they could see their way out. And even though that they could see their way out with you helping them, in the back of their mind, they already thinking like, once I get this, I'm not gonna need him no more.
I'm gonna move on from him. Man.
Yeah, I'm gonna move on. So I just watch how I do paperwork, and certain times when I deal with certain artists, I just kind of learn them before investing in.
True indeed.
Because
the character means more than anything than the
Exactly.
talent. Because if your character's not good, it don't matter what the talent is, because eventually it's gonna go the wrong way.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just, like I said, I'm in a different lane. Certain executives, they go through this shit, and I'm still learning. Don't get me wrong. I'm still learning, because certain executives, they might invest and say, you know what, fuck it, let the lawyers deal with it. Oh no. Not with me. I'ma deal with it. But that's why I said is you still gotta learn and you gotta be willing, you gotta be willing to lose some things in order to gain others, which is being one of those executives. So you gotta know how to deal and handle certain situations. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just still learning, and it's this business is a tricky business, but as long as you got everything in order and you know what it is and what it takes to get to the next level, and you stay humble, shit'll work in your favor.
Yeah, well, we got to minimize the risk. I think that's kind of what we want to do in anything that we're investing in, whether it's stocks, people, or the game.
Yeah, because all business ain't good business, bro.
All money ain't good money.
Yeah, it's just what it is.
So I'm flicking through the BET, awards this year. I see you all over the cameras and shit again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if I ain't know any better, I would think, like you was the son of the owner of BET or some shit. Tell me about, like, what's the relationship with the whole BET experience?
It's not that. I've been going for numerous years now, so at the same time, they just...
While rappers are coming and going, specials consistent, and they see you.
Yeah,
so it's a familiar face.
There. Yeah. And
3-year runs.
Yep, and not only that, and they still see that I got it together and I'm in the building.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, is they show a lot of love. Definitely when they see me.
I mean, as they should. Why,
Yeah.
Why shouldn't they? BET this year looked kind of lit. I wasn't down there, but it looked like, turned up as it is every year. But
it was shaking.
It was shaking.
Yeah, it was shaking.
Off camera, shaking.
Yeah, it was shaking.
It was shaking. All right, cool. So I know you back and forth in the A, right? Still.
Yeah, I got a place in Atlanta because my whole thing is I treat this shit like the drug game. Like, New Yorkers used to travel up that 95, 85 to get to that bag. So I'm like, why treat it any different?
That's what
it's moving at. So, I've noticed that you can't work from home. Maybe other people can. So I'm going to where it's at.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't care if I gotta go back in the mud. That's what made me. I'm from that. You know what I'm saying? So at the same time, I don't mind getting dirty, but at least now I got a place to shower up and clean up.
True indeed. So one thing I want to talk about, right, is your experience in being from Long Island and Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Because Long Island has got, like, I don't know, it's a chip on their shoulders or an underdog mentality, because nobody from Long Island has really done it very big in quite some time, right?
Yeah.
So, some people see Special and they're like, oh, I know Special from Long Island. He's saying he's from Brooklyn. People from Brooklyn, he's saying he's from Long Island. So, like, just for the people that may be curious or don't know, break down for us kind of, the dual representation.
See, my whole thing is that right there is ignorance to me. Because no matter where you from, you're still the same person.
True indeed.
Just because I'm born in Brooklyn and raised in Long Island don't make me no different than somebody that grew up in Long Island and maybe was raised in Valley Stream. Like, what difference does that make? You know what I'm saying? Like, one area is harder than the next. Nah, it ain't the area, it's the people from the area.
It's the person.
Yeah. So my whole thing is that's when you dealing with the hatred. When people don't have nothing else to talk about. Oh, he from here, he from here. What if I was from Garden City? What difference does that make? You understand what I'm saying?
Yo, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And they can't get mad that I'm repping where I'm born and raised. And you wouldn't even fucking care where I was born and raised if I wasn't the person
that you was.
Exactly. So that's the part that I don't get. Oh, he from Long Island, he from Pennsylvania. No matter where I'm from, I'm still the same person. I get to the bag and I get busy.
That's what you need to focus on.
Yeah,
that.
exactly. That's all you need to know.
Yo, and if you don't know what I get busy means, you need to go talk to somebody.
Yeah.
You know,
Not only that, for those that think they know me, they know my government name too. It ain't hard to pull up my shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yo, one thing.
I'm stamped.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is let me just educate y'all too, because again too, just because we didn't put that work in the street, don't make me tougher than you or nobody else. You understand what I'm saying? There's some people out there that ain't never been in the system. There's some people from, let's just say, it's some people from Dix Hills, Long Island that might put in the same work if they put in that same position.
True indeed.
So the area doesn't make you. It's just what I went through.
That's a mentality.
Yeah, that made me, you know. So and it's not cool either. Like me growing up, I'm not gonna incriminate myself on this camera, but everybody know I've been letting it fly. That's just what it is. But I got hit a few times too, and even with me being hit, that shit hurt. You understand what I'm saying? They don't see that shit that we go through when them doctors is in there pulling these slugs out your ass. And, you know, it's cool to give them out, but just know that shit come back too. You understand what I'm saying? And if it don't come back to you, it might come back to your kids.
True indeed.
So I kind of try, like I said, I try to avoid certain situations because we can't be who we are when you keep proving yourself. Like, that shit ain't cool to me, for me to go pop a nigga and then have to do the time for it. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, even though they might have violated, we gotta think of where we are now. And then you also gotta think where you wanna be in the next few years as well. And you don't put that into perspective. So what I learned how to do is I learned how to be humble with everybody, and I learned how to speak to everybody.
Heard you.
Even those that I know that don't like me. Because before I used to be like, you know what? This nigga soft, this nigga got a lot to say. I'ma fry his ass up. But then I learned what hurts him more is being successful. That's worse than a black eye.
That's a fact.
That's worse than putting 3 or 4 in him. Because
Facts.
when he see you flying up the road where he lived near,
And that big boy shit.
and something that's $500,000,
Spinning on the radio.
spending on the radio, on
On
your
the red
TV,
carpet.
Yeah, on the red
Yeah,
carpet,
that hurts some more.
on your movie screen, on your TV screen.
That hurts some more.
Yeah, and the funny thing is what I learned too is that niggas might be like, yo, he's a sucker, he's this, he's that. But then they girls like, no, he ain't, boo.
Yo, speaking of the movie screen and speaking of getting busy,
Yeah.
we seen you in the movie hitting up Pop.
Yeah.
You and Mano.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking real official. Looking real official. I ain't seen you since that aired.
Yeah.
But tell me about playing that role and just having that exposure to the movie scene.
The funny thing is I was in Atlanta. I ran into Benny Boom, LT Hutton, and they was like, hey, yo, Spesh, what's up? I was like, ain't shit, just chilling. They was like, dog, we shooting a movie. We got the perfect part for you. So I was like, all right, what's the perfect part? Because I'm not playing the soccer coach in this shit. And I'm not playing, you know, the corny parts. Like, fuck all that. If you ain't got me a nice part where I can,
Yeah.
you know, get busy on them and, you know what I'm saying, and leave a mark in this film,
Right.
then I ain't really with it. I ain't really just trying to be somebody that y'all just had
Right.
in and on some standby shit.
And what's the name of the movie?
It's called All Eyes on Me.
All Eyes on Me. Tupac story. There's a couple of Tupac movies out there, so I just wasn't 100% sure of the name. That's why I wanted to be sure I got it right.
Yeah.
All Eyes on Me, Tupac, featuring your boy Special. Yeah. So, so the scene where Tupac gets licked in the elevator.
Yeah.
You know, you one of the guys with men are holding that situation down.
Yeah, the funny thing is they gave me a script, right? They gave me this long ass script. I started reading that shit. I was like, who wrote this? So LT and Benny was like, yeah, no, we had the people doing it. I crumpled that shit up. It's like, let me show you how real niggas get to it.
Right.
And all that shit I did off the head.
That's off experience.
Yeah, off experience, because I used to be one of those. But you know,
Good
today
chemistry,
is
though.
Monday. Yesterday, which is Sunday,
Yeah.
I turned my life over to Jesus
Oh,
Christ. So, you know what I'm saying?
I got you. So listen.
Yeah.
So when you're not doing films, not making records, not finding new artists, and doing all that shit, like, what are you doing for fun and to relax?
I'm raising my kids.
That's official tissue right there.
I'm a family person at the end of the day.
Heard you.
You know what I'm saying? I'm raising my kids, spending time with wifey. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, you heard it here. Special ENT, aka International Special. We got a lot of shit on the way. New record by the artist
Cali Cass.
Cali Cass, Out of the A, coming first quarter. Y'all stand by, look for that. For people that want to follow you, stay in tune with what you're doing. Is there a website? Anything
Yeah,
like
nah,
that?
just go to IG at special_ENT_.
At special _ENT_. Get it right, you heard? We here. It's the final episode of season 1. We couldn't have a more special guest than
Yeah.
Special. You heard?
And this is for everybody that's wondering what the fuck Special do.
You heard?
Special minds his business and get to the bag.
That's it. We out of here.